Well, hello there. I really appreciate you joining us today. We're going to look at the parable of the talents in Matthew chapter 25, and we need to be aware that in all of Jesus' teachings, he taught more about money and stewardship and work than he did about faith. Isn't that interesting? So if he did that, it must be important. So I'm going to read you the story of the parable of the talents. Matthew 25, 14 through 29. It is like a man about to go on a journey. He called his own servants and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, depending on each one's ability. Very important. Then he went on a journey. Immediately, the man who had received 5 talents went and put them to work and earned 5 more. When? Immediately. Wasted no time. In the same way, again, immediately, the man with 2 talents earned 2 more. So they each doubled, the guy with 5 and the guy with 2. But the man who had received 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid it. Wow. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 talents approached the master, presenting 5 more, and said, "Master, you gave me 5 talents. See, I have earned 5 more talents for you." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will now put you in charge of many things." Another important point. Share in your master's joy. So we see here, when we are faithful in what God gives us, we get his joy. Then the man with 2 talents approached. He said, "Master, you gave me 2 talents. See, I have earned you 2 more. His master said, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Share your master's joy." Then the man who had received 1 talent also approached and said, "Master, I knew you. You're a harsh man, reaping where you haven't sown and gathering where you haven't scattered seed." In other words, it was my responsibility to sow in that area, not God's. That's the principle there. "So I was afraid, and I went off and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours." His master replied to him, "You evil, lazy servant." Wow. "If you knew that I reap where I haven't sown and gather where I haven't scattered, then you should have invested that talent so that I would receive more when I returned." So he's saying there, if you knew that I'm a just man and I gave it to you for you to be responsible for while I was gone, so to speak, you should have done something with what I gave you. So then he looked to his others and he said, "Take the talent from that man and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has," in other words, for everyone who works the talents I've given them, "more will be given, and he or she will have more than enough." Wow. We're always praying, "Lord, give me more, give me more." But he's saying, if you work, if you're faithful with what I've given you, you will be given more, and you're going to have more than enough than you need. But from the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. Strong words from the Lord. Now, let's look at a couple concepts. First of all, the word servant here means bondservant. They belonged to the master. Paul the apostle tells us we are bondservants to Christ. We belong to him. We are his. We are not our own. That might require a change of thinking because it affects our approach toward our talents and our work. The word talent means a measure of something tangible, a natural endowment or ability in the context of this parable here. In Matthew 18, the word talent means a huge amount of silver. Either way, whether it's money or ability, it is from God. And it belongs to him, and we're to work it and steward it in a way that is pleasing to him. But in this sense, it refers to the abilities I have. Therefore, it's linked to my work and the way that I serve others. Verse 15, another key point here. Remember, the master gave to one man 5, one man 2, and to one man 1 talent, each according to that individual's ability. You see, God sets you and me up to succeed from the beginning. I'm given exactly what I need to be who I am. I'm giving a certain talent or ability, and then I'm given the opportunities to develop that talent and or ability through training, apprenticeship, classes, on-the-job usage, you name it. So I'm given the talent or ability. God opens the door for the right opportunity. I have to walk through it. I get the training to develop that talent. And then as I use it, because it's such a good fit, I do good work. I'm productive and fulfilled. And then God says, after a little while, you are faithful in a little, I'm going to give you more. This is why, because it's such a perfect fit, it is a shame when people waste their abilities, and I've seen it so often. So there are 4 quick lessons we're going to learn from this parable. Lesson number 1, work is a sacred creation by God for us. In Genesis 1, God worked 6 days, and on the 7th he rested. He loves to work. Work is a blessing. We are each called to work where our abilities are. It's not complicated. I mean, we might have to reconsider where we are and why we're there and what we're doing if it's not the right fit. The goal here, not the objective, the goal is to be productive in my work and fulfilled in what I accomplish in that work. So I'm productive for the company, whether it's mine or someone else's, and I'm fulfilled in that I feel good about the work that I'm doing because I'm being a blessing to others. The objective is to matter for Jesus by doing good work that glorifies him. I'm not talking about being in the ministry. I'm in the ministry. But if you're a computer analyst, if you're a contractor, if you're a physician, if you're a truck driver, you can glorify God by matching your ability to your work. If Mondays are always a downer, and if you're always saying, thank God it's Friday, you might need to reevaluate where you work, how you work, and why you work there, okay? Because work is a blessing, and if it's not a blessing, either my attitude is wrong or my placement is wrong. Lesson number 2, we are not created equal. Yes, we are created equal in terms of we're all made in God's image. We are equal in our standing before him. No one is better than someone else, regardless of ethnicity, race, ability, you name it. We are different, though, in the types of abilities we're given. Like, I'm not musical at all. I own a harmonica and I play it because it's easy to play. But my wife can play all kinds of instruments. She's a trained musician. Why? She has natural endowed ability in that area. I have none. Got it? I'm a jock. I was given ability in that area. She wasn't. So, we are not all equal. I'm definitely not equal to her in music. I'm not equal to my brother Lou when it comes to medicine and science. He has a brilliant mind in that area. I don't. So God gives a variety of talents to each of us. And even within a particular talent, there are different levels of abilities. Remember, 5, 2, and 1 talents were given. Let's look at a few examples. The talent of teaching. Certain people are just gifted at teaching. Somebody can teach to mass crowds. They might be a great preacher. They might be a motivational speaker. They might be a CEO of a corporation and they're speaking to thousands of shareholders, but they can get their message across. Some people are great teaching in a class setting, some in a small group, some one-on-one, moms and dads in home education, various types of teaching abilities, right? One talent teaching various types. Driving. I might be a race car driver. I might be a truck driver. It might be over the road. I might drive a local delivery truck. I might be a cabbie or an Uber driver. You name it. You got that? So same talent, different administrations of it. Problem solving. I might be an engineer. I might be a carpenter. I might be an electrician. I might be a coach. The list goes on in problem solving. My oldest son can look at a situation, whether it's financial or what has to do with property and construction. He looks at it, he can just figure it out. He didn't go to class for it. He was apprenticed, so he got trained in it. He developed that. But whenever I have an issue with any of that, I always ask him because I rely on his wisdom. Leadership. Somebody might have leadership in a church, on a team, leadership at the college level, maybe a dean of students, maybe the president, maybe the principal. Somebody might be the leader of a huge automaker, maybe the CEO of GM, or maybe the general manager of a particular plant, maybe a shift supervisor. So again, they're all leaders, but in different ways, different functions, different levels. You getting it? Hospitality. That's a gift. Maybe in event planning, maybe in the home, maybe in a restaurant. I want to use my wife Sandy as an example here. Strong gift of hospitality, strong gift. We've been in the ministry over 40 years. We have had hundreds and hundreds of people come through our house. Small groups, people have stayed here, leadership training, counseling, ministering to the needy, you name it, right? So when we started out, we were a good match because I would work on helping the soul of the individual. She would offer a setting of hospitality. And the more we did it, the more she practiced it, the better she got. Now it's phenomenal. She creates a setting, it's almost healing to people when they walk in, right? If we went out there, the Christmas decorations are out. It's an amazing setting. The atmosphere is warm. You know what that adds to? The ability for me to do my job well. So I have an ability in spiritual ministry. She has an ability in hospitality, and we match those. Now, she's so good at it, she can train others, and she has, on how to manage your home, how to set up the home for success. What is that? It's a certain type of a gift. She has a strong one in that area. Here's the lie. Here's the lie. Don't listen to this. Well, if I only have one talent or less talent than so-and-so and so-and-so, I have to work harder than them so I could reach the same level of success they are. No. If somebody has 5 talents in an area, they're going to have a different level of responsibility or type than I do if I have one talent, but it all requires the same amount of effort. Each of them had to do the same thing, whether it was the 5 talents, the 2, or the 1. And so we buy the lie, but you got to remember, God matches my talent or my ability to my opportunity, to the work and the place. It's a perfect match. I'm the one that often either fights against God's plan or I don't tie into that match. You don't have to prove yourself to the crowd. Why? You work for Jesus. I hope that helps you. Lesson number 3. Kind of tied to what we were just saying. We work for Jesus through human representative authorities, our overseers, our bosses. The talents aren't mine. The money isn't mine. The time isn't mine. It is His. It's all His. What do? I steward it for Him. I work it for Him. I manage it all for Him. I might have to change my paradigm, the way that I think. If I think, well, I'm working so I can get the next paycheck, right? I'm supposed to use my talent to honor the Lord, not for selfish gain. Listen, that doesn't mean you don't want to earn a good wage. God wants you to. He wants you to be very successful. He wants you to have a good living. But it's my perspective that might need changing. I have to line it up with God. Now listen to how it works. You might have to flip your thinking upside down. I have to ask myself, through my work, the use of my abilities, am I making others around me better, more blessed, safer, more at peace, and more successful? Or do I approach my work with the attitude, hey, I've got a job to do, That guy's a pain. You wouldn't believe my boss. I'm there for the paycheck. I'm going to get that promotion no matter what. I'm not going to play their game. I don't want their politics. There's politics everywhere. It's easy to fall into that attitude where I'm in it to increase my wage, to get better benefits so I can provide for my family. Is that a wrong motive? No. But the perspective is upside down. The perspective is, it's not my job, it belongs to Jesus. He gave it to me. So do I approach that job, that work, that vocation, that calling, that ministry with a heart of generosity and openness and helpfulness? If I treat my work as the Lord's, even if it's tough, but if I'm matched right, you know what's going to happen? God will promote me. He will bless me. He will provide. The hand of the diligent becomes rich, the Lord says, and he will raise that person up. He will bring him before greater people. God gives you favor. My spiritual father taught me, don't try to become the boss, become the servant. If you become the servant, God will make you the boss in his time. He did that over time, but had I never learned that lesson, I would have been an arrogant young jerk just trying to get what I could out of the situation. Because you know what? Work isn't always fun. It isn't always easy, and life can be unfair because you run into some nasty people. But again, if you're not in the right place, if you're not both productive and fulfilled, you need to look and say, what really are my God-given abilities? And I'm in the right position to use those. If not, then ask God to put you in it and start looking. Last lesson. God does not take lightly me wasting what he gave me. Remember the guy with one talent that buried it? He said, take it away from him and get rid of that guy, toss him out. I'm going to reap what I sow in this life when it comes to my work, when it comes to my money, when it comes to my success. If I waste my talents, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to live from struggle to struggle, from paycheck to paycheck, from day to day, from week to week, from problem to problem, whether it's financial, relational, medical, health. You know, it's just one thing after another. We have to be honest with ourselves. If Jesus taught this parable, and he taught so many others about work and money, don't we have to take this seriously? Don't I need to do a little bit of self-examination and say, what have I done with my talents? What am I doing? And if you're older and you've blown it, don't panic. God owns time. He can renew your opportunity in no time and turn things around. But you have to be willing to do that, right? I've seen so many times in 43 years of ministry, people waste the talents that God gave them. Jesus makes it easy to start. Remember what he said? Well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful over a few things, so now I'll put you in charge of more. Share in your master's joy. So what the Lord will do, if you decide right after this teaching, Lord, I've blown it, I want to do a restart, you start small. He's not going to give you a massive load of responsibility you can't handle. He's going to give you something little. Say, you're going to just be faithful in that little thing? Like every day I want you to wash those dishes. I mean, that might be a silly illustration, but it's, from breakfast. Just wash the breakfast dishes. And you get done with those, you say, yeah, I'm getting pretty good at this. You wash the lunch dishes. And then God opens an opportunity for you outside of the kitchen. And then you're faithful in that. He opens up more opportunities, right? I don't know if that's a great illustration. It just came to me. But it's simple. He did not complicate it. He makes it easy to start, and then he gives me more one step at a time. And the key is this: do not skip a step. So let's close. Here's the question. Do I want to change the course of my life on this earth, or am I on the right path? Maybe I'm in the right position, but I'm not utilizing my abilities with the right attitude that they all belong to Jesus, right? So I may need a self-correction. It may be a big one, it may be a small one. Even if you have to make a major correction and say, I'm in the wrong place and I've had the wrong attitude, the Lord's going to put you in the right place, but he keeps it simple because he's going to have you start small without so much pressure that you're going to fold like a cheap suit. It's not complicated. It's not difficult to understand or do. All the Lord is requiring of me is faithfulness with that 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 talents that he gave me. Or it might be more than that. Look, I know pastors that lead massive mega churches. God gave them talents to do that. I know other pastors that lead small churches. They're all touching souls. And you know what's interesting? Well over 90% of the Bible preaching churches in America are under 100 people. They're the salt of the earth, touching little communities. Without them, the nation would be screwed. Probably shouldn't use that. So these little pastors, these pastors that are faithful in little churches, I have such respect for them. What are they doing? They're given the 1 or 2 talents and they're being faithful and they're touching life after life, generation after generation. I'm using that in the ministry example. It could be you in your work. So may the Lord bless you and open your eyes and give you the courage to do some honest self-examination. And then if you need to make the change, take it one step at a time. God bless you. I hope this helps you. Ciao.